brother. Hey, we are live for Financial Fitness Friday, and want us to cover something I just covered on the podcast, the Integrated Entrepreneur. So on the podcast, we talked about financial scams to avoid. Some of them were like buying a shelf corporation, right? An H corp, buying trade lines, um, having to take an MCA to get an SBA, which is completely wrong. And so we went through like a laundry list of all these things. And one of the things that we touched on was debt settlement companies, right? And I want to explain to you why it's a scam. Okay. And I'm going to explain the business perspective of it. And then Dave will get into the personal side of things, right? So when we're talking about business debt settlement, you have a bunch of different companies out there. MCA settlement companies, right? This is the easiest one to explain because what they do is they tell you, all right, well, we can get your payments lowered. We can make it so, hey, you owe 300,000. We'll try to knock that down to 250. And so what they do is they actually have you breach a contract. Okay. And so right away you're in the wrong. And then you start paying them instead of paying the cash advance companies. Right. And then they call them up and they try to work something out. Here's the reality. The cash advance companies already know these companies. Okay. They don't work with them. They don't settle with them. The first thing they do is they sue you. Okay. And when they sue you, the debt settlement companies do not help you defend that. Okay. Meaning they're not providing legal support. They're not giving you the attorney. So now you have to pay for an attorney. All right. And this whole time they're saying they're working on it, but they're not working on it. Very few times that actually works out. And here's what they don't tell you. Not only are you going to be responsible for your legal fees, you're going to be responsible for the cash advance company's legal fees when they win. All right. And they put a lien and a judgment on your business. They can actually put a levy on your bank account, and they put you on a no funding list. All right. And so when you're on that no funding list, even if it's 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, you can't get access to financing. And it's not just get access to MCAs. Because you have the liens and the judgments, you can't get invoice factoring. You probably can't get equipment financing. You definitely can't get an SBA loan. So it leaves you in a place that you have to pay for cash for everything, right? Which means you don't have access to leverage. You don't have access to other people's money. And you have a bunch of legal fees that are just going to hurt you and destroy your business, right? These are the ugly side of, financial services that no one talks about. And I'm talking about it because I've seen so many people make this mistake, right? And these companies know what they're doing. You're not going to beat them. So what you can do instead, guys, right? If you're in this situation is you can use a term loan to pay it off. You might be able to use a better advance to pay it off. You can use invoice factoring to pay it off. You can use equipment that you own outright, right? To leverage to pay it off. All of those are better solutions. And if for whatever reason they don't work out because your credit's in the tank on the skids, okay, or whatever it might be, well, then you know what you can do? You can call up these companies and ask them to lower the payments yourself, and they'll work with you if you're struggling. And then you won't go on a list and you won't have these issues. Okay. You won't have the legal fees. Your business will be a lot safer, a lot more secure. So that's how it works on the business side of things, guys. And I'm going to tell you, you got to be careful here. Because one of the things that we do the most at Integrated is get people out of these things. All right. Dave, how's it work on the personal side? Run us through that.
Yeah, there's very clear-cut similarities to the business and personal. I mean,
Sure.
and I'm not sure if they do this with MCAs. I know most of that's all revenue-based stuff, but if they're putting a judgment, obviously, on the business or some type of UCC filing, I'm sure there's some personal guarantor, or even a personal side where you possibly, correct, should have a judgment from that MCA on your personal as well.
Yeah. Well, depends on which company and what you sign. Okay.
Yeah, that's how it's structured. Yeah. So, guys, on the personal side, I mean, remember, 99% of everything on the business side, you're also personal guarantoring. So it's probably going to affect you on that personal side. But going to the personal consumer side, We see this all the time. I actually have somebody we're getting ready to work on right now. Know your language, right? And I say that for a very specific reason. A lot of people are assuming debt consolidation or debt consolidation loans is debt settlement, is debt negotiation. It's two completely different things. And I
I'll get
blame,
into that a little bit.
yeah, sure. And I blame that industry for that. It's wordplay, right? It's to suck you in. Hey, we're going to get you a loan. We're going to pay this off on your behalf, and we're going to get you a fresh start. And if you really break it down, it is the absolute worst thing you could do to your personal credit long term. Long term, it doesn't fix the problem. It really doesn't. Here's why. Number one, when you come into this agreement for them to settle on your behalf, you're really only getting a 25% discount anyway, right? Like a lot of people come into debt settlement to get money taken off of what they owe and to solve the problem quicker. But really you're tanking your credit for a 25% discount. Think about that, because like what Jonathan said about the business side, if your credit is already decent, meaning you pay everything on time, you're just over leveraged on credit cards, so your utilization's high, dropping your score down, they're going to make you default because it's the only way they can really get leverage. So if you're already paying on time, they're going to tell you to stop making payments. Let this go for the next 4 months until it charges off. Now you have a bigger problem. Now you're not even lendable at that standpoint. Okay, that's the first situation. Second situation, I already mentioned, you get a 25% discount, but now they put you on a payment plan, usually anywhere from 2 to 4 years, and they start making these payments settled out to these companies on your behalf. Their negotiation tactic is usually a 50% discount, and then add on 25 that I said before. Now, going long term, right? What happens over time? Well, a lot of people are assuming that as time goes on, their credit is just going to get better. And sure, over time, your score is going to increase, but it's not going to move as much as you would assume it would. So what happens? Take the whole 4 years, for example. And if you looked on at year 3, well, all your balances are still going to be the same. So if you owed, just say one company 10 grand and they settled out for 5 grand, well, the report's still going to say 10 grand on it. They don't have to legally update that until you satisfy that debt 100%. So now imagine if it took you 4 years to satisfy it, and then now all of a sudden that debt has a zero balance 4 years later. Now here's what else happens. That's a date of last activity movement, which would happen, say today, is 4 years later. So what does that mean? Number one, you're assuming because you paid it off that it should go away, you be scot-free, it's not on your report anymore, which I wholeheartedly believe it should be that way. You satisfied the debt, right, wrong, or indifferent, settled out, good, it should be gone away. But now 4 years later, zeroed out, you just started the clock over, you have technically a brand new debt at $0, and you're starting that 7-year clock over again for that negative account. So now that account is going to be negatively on your report if you do nothing about it for 11 years. Okay, that's the stuff they don't talk about. So what also happens? Your score drops even more. So imagine you spend all this money on debt settlement for 4 years to not solve the problem and to have your score lowered and be in a worse situation. And I don't even know how the shit's legal, man, to be honest. The crazy thing is most of the companies that do this stuff are attorneys.
Yep. Yeah, it's nuts, dude. So I'm glad you brought that up. Now let's talk about the right way on the credit card side, okay? If you're sitting there with a whole bunch of credit cards, we've gone over this before, but the fastest, easiest, quickest solution that's going to save you a bunch of money, lower your payments, is if you can qualify for a term loan, you apply for a term loan, you get the term loan, you pay off all the cards. A term loan is just a personal loan. It goes out 3 to 5 years, has monthly payments and simple interest based on your credit. It's unsecured. It kind of reads on your credit like a car loan or an installment loan. So it does not negatively impact your credit. All right. Use that, pay off all the cards, get a lower payment. The interest stops compounding. You're good. You're out of that situation. Now, on the flip side, right? If you don't want to do that, what you can do is the waterfall method. And all that means is if you have 3 credit cards and each card has a different rate, highest, middle, lowest, okay, and together you're paying about $1,000 a month in payments. The goal is to try to get you to pay $1,500 a month in payments, and that extra $500 goes to the highest card first. Once that card is paid off, Then let's say that brings your total, what you would have to pay down to, I don't know, $700. Well, if you're paying $700 between the two cards, instead of paying seven, keep it at that 1,500, and that extra 800 goes to the highest interest rated card. Okay. And so you take care of that, and then you move that whole $1,500 a month payment to the lowest interest card, and then you're out of the situation. Will that take a lot longer? Yes. Will it still get done and help you and build your credit and get you out of the situation? Also, yes. All right. So this is what I would strongly recommend doing, one or the other. All right. I hope this helped you guys. Share this with somebody that needs to hear it, and we will catch you on Mindset Monday. Take care.
Be great, Joe.